how to prepare your 3D scan for vacuum forming. Hello everyone, this is my third video in the prosthetics series. In my first video I've shown how to cut off these flat surfaces over here to clean up this mesh. In my second video I've shown how to create a custom support structure, and now I'm going to show you a different object received from a technician. And the idea here is that we need to prepare this for 3D printing that it's later going to be used for vacuum forming. So let me get started. I'm going to turn on the backface coloring, and as you can see, this is just a shell. It's a surface without any thickness. And you can also see if I select this has 288,000 faces. So it's quite dense. It's not needed. So I'm going to simplify it first. I'm going to make it a max 5. You can redo it twice, so kind of, maybe you want to make it 10, then you just do it twice, but usually 5 is the max. If you start doing it more, it will start breaking. And as you can see, the results 28,000 faces, which I'm quite pleased with that, and the look is still the same. Okay, so now the idea here is I've shown in my dental series something similar, and I think I've over there flattened it and then filled polygon. I'm going to use a different technique, and I'm going to explain as I go along. So the first thing is I'm going to select the loose edges. I go to the edge mode and go to select loose. This is the same I've shown in my dental series as well, but the technique now is going to be different. I'm going to go to extrusion. The extrusion technique is what you find, and people use mesh mixer or other tools usually do this extrusion technique. The problem with extrusion is that, take a look, it goes based on normals extrusion, so it's kind of wild based on the way the normals are. This is kind of moving up the faces. Over here it's moving sideways, so this creates a lot of issues. And all of these tools, mesh mixer, and the same with SelfCAD as well, but SelfCAD has a flatten tool that can solve it very easily. So I'm extruding it by 5. It doesn't really matter the number, because the main goal here is to create a new face here. New faces could be 1, it could be 10, doesn't matter, because I'm going now to flatten them down. So while it's still selected, SelfCAD remembers the selections, so I don't have to reselect again. And I'm simply going to go to flatten, and I'm going to move it down now. Move it down like this. Now this is flat, it's good, but because the extrusion didn't recognize the structure correctly, it creates these faces completely flipped, and it's a complete mess, this mesh. It's not going to make a manifold mesh. So we have a flip normals tool to fix that, but flip normals does not work on edges. So I still have these edges selected, as you can see it yellow highlight. And if I'm going to use flip normals now, it's going to give me a message that you have to select, please select at least one polygon or face. So it can work on polygon faces or on a complete mesh, but not on edges. So all I have to do, I click on the grid to deselect the edges, and now we have the entire object selected. And now if I go to flip normals, it recognizes it correctly and it's fixed. But even after fixing, I still see here some problematic faces. I don't know exactly where this is coming from. And maybe just, yeah, it looks like there's some back faces here. I don't know exactly where this is. So I'm going to select again the edges, loose edges, and I'm simply going to move it down slightly. So you can move it down just a bit. And now this is fixed, and deselect the edges, so we are good to go. Okay, so as I said, I can simply fill polygons and close the entire thing, but I'm trying to save material. You don't want to print this entire thing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a custom support structure, same thing I've shown in my previous video, but I'm going to use here something different also to teach you something else, and actually solving a problem I had over there as well. So I'm going to select again my left-right plane, and I'm gonna go to copy profile, and we get this profile. So now it's much more simpler than in this video, than in that video, and I'm gonna show you also something different. So the first thing is I'm gonna go to 3D sketch, and now I'm not gonna create a plane, which is actually in some cases a benefit, because now we can only draw snapping to something. So I can simply snap to this vertex, snap to this. You can't go wrong. I mean, you can go wrong, snap to something else, but you cannot go wrong, draw something else, because there's no plane, there's nothing to draw on. So now I have this done. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to, instead of extruding what I did before, in the previous video I extruded it and then selected the polygon and extruded the other direction. And somehow I ended up with something non-manifold. I'm not sure if there's a problem with the profile or with the flow that I did. I haven't tested it again. But now I'm going to do it using fill polygons to close this. So we now have a basic surface, as you can see, a basic surface. And now instead of extruding, I'm going to go to add thickness. And the benefit of add thickness is that this has an option mirror thickness. So it's going to mirror both sides. Now once I turn on mirror, it doesn't matter if this is positive or negative, because actually it goes positive and negative, both directions. As you can see, the profile's in the center, and it has 3 over here, 3 over here, so total is 6. If you want to have 3, then you're going to have to make it 1.5 because it's mirrored. Okay, so now we have this profile over here. We can select this mesh also, but before we do this, we have to add thickness to this one. So I'm gonna add, turn on easy to see. I'm gonna add thickness to this mesh, go to add thickness, and here it makes a difference. It's got to be negative, because if you vacuum, you're gonna use it for vacuum forming, you don't want to add volume to it, the outside, make it bigger, but the inside doesn't really matter here. So I'm gonna make it -3, and this fills it over here, the walls. So now I'm just going to stitch these two together, and simply going to use Control U, which is the same as union, stitch a scoop union, and it combines them together. Okay, so now we have this combined together, and this is going to be the support structure, and this is going to be the surfaces over here, and this is perfect. Now you may want to add another support over here and over here. That's optional. But the last thing that I need to do over here is I need to create the holes, so for the vacuum forming, for the vacuum to be able to go through over here. So I'm not an expert in it, but I've read this article. I found over here an article in Emitech, which says that that you should do it for 0.75 millimeters, or the less the better, and depending on which material you have, but 0.75 millimeters is usually good, or less diameter holes, and the less the better. Otherwise you will have this material witness marks, the way they call it, witness marks, which to see from the holes, I guess. And the positioning should be 25 millimeters apart. Okay, 25 millimeters apart. So let's go based on this setting over here. So I'm going to create a cylinder. The cylinder doesn't have the option to create fractions. So if I'm going to make it, let's say 0.5, it's going to jump to 1. Most tools can create fractions, but somehow this has not added yet fractions to the cylinder tool. So I'm going to finalize it by 1, 1, and 500, and I'm going to scale it down later. So I'm going to scale this down to 0.75, and this also to 0.75, and the other one is 500. And now I'm going to align it to the corner. So this is the back left. So I'm going to go to the align tool. Let's see, what do I have selected? I have to select this. Oh, I have to select this cylinder and go to the align tool, and let's align it to this union. This object is union 1, looks like union 1, and align it to the left, left right. Where is it? This is the, I mean back right, I'm sorry, what was I saying, back right. Okay, so this is the back right. Okay, so it's aligned over here, or back left, doesn't matter. So let's see, back left. So I'm aligning in this side, back left. Okay, so this is basically aligned over here, and now I'm going to go to copy offset tool. Now if I go, this is the X direction, X, the line is here, so I need to move it positive an X, so I need to move it by 25 positive, and I'm going to try with, I didn't calculate the size over here, so I'm going to try with 10 copies, and 10 copies is not enough, so let's make it, looks like 17 copies, something like that, and this looks like enough. Obviously you can calculate the exact thing how much you need. So now I'm going to simply click Control G to group them together, and now I'm going to make X 0, and I'm going to move it in the Z direction, in the, what am I doing, I'm moving in the Z direction, also positive. So in the Z direction by 25, and let's make, try with 17 copies again, and yeah, it may need like a little more copies. Obviously you should calculate exact volume for final production, but this should be fine for now. So, and now I'm going to group this together again, and we have now this grid. So now let's go and simply select the grid plus this union, and you have to group this together. They're tiny objects, but if you make them individually, stitch and scoop, I've explained this in numerous videos, that stitch and scoop works based on each object, the number of objects. So if you have so many objects, there's no way you're going to be able to do it, because it needs to calculate each object intersection against each of the other objects. And if you group them together, you have intersections, so you'll have an issue, but in this case there's no self intersections, So this is perfectly fine. So in this flow. Okay, so now let's inspect the object. Because I give a different color, you can see these holes over here passing through all over. And if you look at the other side as well, you can see them here. Just gotta be able to zoom in and see. Yeah, it's hard to see it, the different colors here, but you can see if you zoom in. I'm not sure it's visible in the video, but I can see it. But it's basically cut through holes. The entire mesh is sparsely populated with these tiny holes around, and this should be perfect for vacuum forming now. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Let's actually see if we could change the material color of this material, not this one. So let's inverse select to select the inside color, and let's see if it's going to be better visible if I do a different color. I don't think it's so small, so it's hard to see. Yeah, maybe a little bit better. Let's see from this side. Yeah, not very much visible, but nevertheless, this is done. Okay, so this is how you prepare your object for vacuum forming. I hope this was helpful, and let me know in the comments if you want me to show anything else. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.